Hello, Prairie View students, families, and staff. I'm here to read The Snow Treasure by Marie McSwiggan, Chapter 11. I hope you were able to guess whose room I was in yesterday. If you guessed Mrs. Medellis, you were right. Today I'm in somebody else's. Hope you can guess whose it is. Chapter 11. The blood rushed out of Peter's head. He was certainly dizzy. He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he was looking up the slope at the heels of the last row of German goose-steppers. Michael and the girls joined him on the bank. Well, what do you know about that? Michael was open wide with wonder. He turned his whole company aside. Lovicia found it equally hard to believe. Peter sat up. If he hadn't, I would have plowed right into them. I might have broken my sled, and the bricks would have spilled, maybe. The least that could have happened would have been to make them angry, Helga spoke thoughtfully. We've been lucky, I guess, Peter admitted. I told you there was nothing to be afraid of, Helga shook her curls. When they turn out for you like that, they can't be so terrible. Come on, we've got to get to the snake. There were more German soldiers to pass before they could make the bend into the further fjord they called the Snake. To these they would likewise have to come close. Nearest were the sentries that patrolled between the stacked rifles and the road down from the mountains. The sled would pass within a few feet of where they walked. If Uncle Victor wants them to see us today, he gets what he wants, Lovicia pointed out. They'd have to be blind to miss us. Uncle Victor didn't know it would be as bad as this, Peter grumbled. He didn't say they'd be marching on the road. Well, we got past them, didn't we? Peter, let me go first, Helga begged. It would look even less suspicious if a girl went first. But Peter was head of the defense club, and it was for him to lead them wherever they had to go. No matter what would happen, he must go first. But he was still frightened enough to want Helga to take the lead. On their sleds again, and the last mile before they would turn the bend by the cliff that hid the entrance to the Snake. The sentries were taking their stiff-kneed walks between the rifles. The other Germans went on with their work of unloading the supplies. Nobody so much as looked at the children on their sleds. What if the sentries were to stop them? Peter asked himself. What if they wouldn't let them pass? The captain had been friendly because he himself used to like toboggan. And anyways, it was not his job to be on watch as it was these guards. But when he went directly in front of the first sentry, he saw only a blank face. There was not so much as a look to show if he was pleased or displeased. Beyond the sentry, Peter saw some soldiers dragging a heavy tarpaulin over the snow. One of them looked in his direction. Under the round cap and fringe of yellow hair, he saw the bluest eyes he had ever seen in his life. They seemed to say that he, too, would like to be sled riding. Another sentry was stepping up the line over the churned snow beyond them. Another. Like the first one, they had only blank looks to give the children. None of them so much as lifted a finger to stop them. So they were going to be allowed to go on. Uncle Victor had been right when he said that no one would suspect boys and girls on their sleds. Peter breathed a sigh of relief and dug in his heels into the snow for a fresh start. The cliff that hid the Snake was just ahead. Beyond it, they would be safe from the curious eyes. That day, anyways, would be won. The sleds would have to be dragged the rest of the way as the ground was level. But it wasn't far to go after the cliff was passed. There only remained to find the 2 fallen trees to bury the gold and build a snowman. In the Snake, Peter stopped to get his breath. His sled was terribly, terribly heavy. He hadn't noticed how heavy it was when he pulled it through the woods from the cave. Now it was a fearful load. The others were close on his heels. They, too, seemed to be tired. Even Helga crept along, dragging her crushing load of gold. But where is Uncle Victor's boat? Peter searched both sides of the streams with his eyes. There was no boat on the black water. The trees! Levisia fell on her flat stretch that was closed in at two ends by long ridges of snow. Here's one of them. She poked her arm to the elbow into the crusted white. Then she ran through the deep, untrodden stretch. And here, she called, is the other. The four of them began burrowing in the snow. 4 pits were made, and into each went the brown-covered bricks. Then 4 snowmen rose above the bricks. Each stood guard over a mound of gold worth more than 80,000 kroner, $20,000. So between the trees, $80,000 in gold bullion lay buried in the snow. We've done it, Peter exulted. We passed them and they never guessed. Dumb, stupid things, Helga's lips curled in scorn. We did it, Levisia thumped Helga on the back and then threw her arms around Peter. And now none of them was tired. They pounded one another's backs and shoulders. They joined hands and circled around and around Peter's snowman. And the captain turned aside his troops because he didn't want to spoil our sled track. Helga burst out laughing. Oh, if only he knew. Tears ran out of her eyes. Weak from laughter, she could no longer stand and fell helplessly in the snow. In the roars, the others fell down beside her. He said when he was a boy, there was nothing he'd like better than sledding. Peter choked with mirth. He likes sledding, and so do we. Oh, if he only knew. Here they are. They found the spot where they were supposed to stop and bury this gold bullion and build their snowman. That was the end of chapter 11. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the story.